welcome to UC Today with me, David Dungay. Today I am joined by Joe Walsh from GoTo and Black from Cavell Group. Welcome to the show, guys. It's great to have you on board. We're going to be talking about IT management in the SMB and why we need to make that easier. But before we get into that conversation, should we do a few introductions? Joe, do you want to kick us off? Tell us a bit about yourself and GoTo.
Yes, David, thanks very much for having us here today. I've been working with GoTo for just over 3 years now, and we provide business communications and IT support tools to small and mid-sized businesses. I've been here, as I said, for 3 years. I've been in telecommunications for about more than 15 years, and in our role, I lead our product marketing teams and I lead our marketing campaign teams as well. And a big part of our role is research and trying to understand what's happening in the market, what's happening with our customers, and I hope to share some of that research and those insights with you guys today.
Thanks, Joe. And Dom.
Hi there, great to have and great to be on again, Dave. My name's Dominic Black. I'm Director of Research at Cavell. I spent the last 9 years looking at the unified communications market, helping service providers and vendors really understand what's going on in this space. We also run a lot of enterprise and end user research, looking at why people are adopting different UCaaS solutions and what they're looking for out of these. So hopefully going to spend today talking through a bit of that and sharing some of our thoughts with GoTo and yourselves, Dave. So yeah, thanks for having me here.
Fantastic. So first of all, I want to outline a few of the challenges we're experiencing in the SMB market, particularly around IT management. Should we outline what those challenges are? Joe, do you want to kick us off on that one?
Yeah, sure, David. I think, look, IT's always been important, but in recent times, they've really been thrust back into the spotlight, right? Tech is at the kind of the foundations of everything we're doing right now. And there's two big issues that small to mid-sized businesses are working on, and that's employee productivity and where they work and offering hybrid working. That's a massive demand for employees these days after recent changes we've seen. And then, of course, customers' expectations are always increasing as well. Over the last few years, they've engaged digital channels a lot more, moving a lot of their service and their buying journeys online, and a lot of small to mid-sized business trying to grapple with that as well. Okay, so it's trying to provide that employee experience and also meet those customer expectations at the same time. And that's putting a bit of pressure on the IT teams. They have seen an increased workload over the last year or so. They've seen increased complexity in that workload, and that's putting a bit more on their shoulders. Thankfully, help is at hand, right? The leadership teams are acknowledging this. They understand the importance of IT. They are investing in IT, but with that money comes the microscope as well. So just adding a little bit to the pressure on the purchasing decisions that IT teams make and the tech they roll out to help their businesses achieve their objectives. So a lot going on, and certainly not a boring time to be in IT in this small to mid-sized business.
Great. And Dom, perhaps you could share some insights on what you're seeing in the market right now.
Sure. So I think it's been a really interesting time for business owners, especially SMB business owners, of navigating their way through the pandemic over the last few years. Obviously, what we saw at the start of that was a lot of people snatching at services and solutions that were going to help them work from home, continue to help their businesses continue running, really. And that was a real struggle for a lot of those businesses because they were on legacy equipment. They weren't able to move from home. We saw phone bills going through the roof as they were just putting call forwarding in place. I think as we've emerged from lockdowns and now looking at this next stage, I think it's a real challenge for IT within these organizations of going, well, how does our business want to communicate and what do they want to do? What technologies and what tools do they want to use? And that's a conversation that can't be just led by IT now. We're seeing obviously C-level coming into that conversation of going, this is what we should be doing. This is what we want to use. But also employees, and the employees are so important within this now of going, well, actually, how do you want to work? Do you want to work from home? If you're going to work from home or at least hybrid, what technologies are you going to use to enable that? And then the challenge is, how do we get all of those technologies to work together and get them to be adopted well together and actually drive ROI in these investments we're making with technology?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's certainly a challenging time. I do want to talk about the Great Resignation. We've seen nearly 50 million employees in the US, move roles in the last 12 months or so. How is this impacting IT teams as well? It's a lot of offboarding and presumably onboarding as well. Joe, what are you seeing from that perspective?
Yeah, well, look, I think it creates a lot of challenges, right? We know 7 out of 10 employees will refuse a job now that doesn't offer flexibility. They want that ability to work from their home office, to work from the office, or work from wherever it suits them on any given day to work. And that adds to the pressure, to the challenges that IT teams need to address, right? And of course, IT teams themselves, they're not immune to this. They want that flexibility. They want to be able to work from where it suits them to work as well. So trying to manage not just their own experiences in their own teams for these IT leaders, but also managing that experience for everybody else in the organization is something that they're literally at the forefront of trying to solve that challenge for SMBs. And that's, we see a huge amount of it. It's trying to make that easy to do in the most kind of simplest way possible for these teams, because particularly in the SMB market, they're not they don't have a rich amount of IT resources and a rich amount of IT budget, right? They find themselves more often than not trying to do less with more. And one of the biggest trends to try and achieve that is consolidation, right? Dom talked about the setups that businesses have put in place when the pandemic hit. A lot of those setups were put in with the view that this was temporary. That would be like 3 months at most. Nobody expected, 2-3 years down the road, would still be working in this hybrid state. The majority of people would still be working from home, and they need to provide permanent solutions for that. And it's trying to make that as easy as possible and trying to do as much as you can with one vendor to simplify the procurement, to simplify the management, to get the best value for your money as well is a big challenge for IT teams.
Yeah, Dom, does that align with your research? People looking for that one vendor approach to solving some of these issues.
Yeah, certainly, and it depends on obviously size of company, but we certainly saw that small businesses are looking to buy from a single provider who can provide all business services, or picking or choosing a few providers that can all provide all business services. When we look at businesses of between sort of 10 and 49 employees, 70% of those don't want multiple different providers. They want to have one provider who's going to provide a lot of it, or a couple who are going to provide very specialist equipment in different places. Where they're looking for individual providers for each service, that's kind of going away a bit now. They're really looking for that integrated solution and a provider who can bring all those technologies together with them. It's certainly something which we've seen grow, and we're seeing more and more channel organizations and businesses out there selling these services, of looking at what other services can I bring into my portfolio, because that demand is so high for these different solutions as we go through. So yeah, certainly see a lot of focus coming on that.
Fantastic. So I want to leave our audience with some top tips, to implement into their own hybrid working strategy to make that IT management, a lot simpler and a lot smoother. Joe, do you want to kick us off on that one? What are your top tips for the audience for making this IT management issue a little bit simpler?
Yeah, I think, look, there's 5 areas I always advise our customers to look at. One is the administration tools, right? Particularly if you are light on IT resources, or the person that looks after your IT isn't actually necessarily from an IT background. They just seem to be the most tech savvy person in the business, right? Make sure they've got the best admin tools to make light of the work that they need to do. The second thing is the end user. Okay, you want a really easy to use platform, consolidated into one application, right? You want to make it as simple as possible. I think overall, about $4 billion will be wasted in the UCaaS industry this year on licenses that are not adopted. And that goes down to like too many solutions, too many different tools to use, and people just, moving into one and going, this works for me, I'm just going to stick to that. If you can make it the ease of use far simpler, bring everything into one place, that tends to be just far easier for people to adopt and start using the services, and that boosts productivity. Customer support as well is a big one. Look at the vendors and what their customer support process is like. Again, if you're not big on IT resources and you need help, you want that help to be readily available and simple and easy and intuitive when it comes to you. And you want value for money too. It's always important to get the best bang for your buck, right? It's always important to make sure that when you do procure things, you get the best deal for your business. And again, I'd always shop around and make sure you are getting the right price. And then lastly, I would look at trying to consume as much as you can from one vendor, particularly when it comes to your communications, right? And those connections with employees and customers. If you can get both those in a simple way and manageable for your organization, you'll always stay in touch with those 2 most important parts of your business.
Fantastic, Dom. I mean, what are your top tips? We've heard quite a few there from Joe. What would you like to impart on our audience to get them thinking about making this sort of IT management a little bit simpler?
Yeah, well, I think one of the key things that we come through and we see from all of our end customer surveys is support is so important to this. So making sure when you're speaking to these organizations and looking to procure these services is looking at their support. How are you getting support? How is the support for different services coming through? Because that's so critical to things do go wrong in IT. Everyone's aware of that, but making sure that you have that route to speak to the right person is super critical on that. I think also one of the key points that Joe raised is evaluate what your employees want to use. There's no point investing in solutions expecting they're going to work for your business, where when you get down to the end of it, your employees go, well, this doesn't work for us. We don't work this way. I think in getting engagement across the whole organization now, making sure you have those people within your organization who are cheerleaders for that technology and making sure they're driving adoption. So it's not just coming from IT, but within specific teams, within specific departments, making sure that they know how they're using that tool to the best of their abilities. And I think that's going to be the way you're going to get the highest adoption. At the end of the day, the highest return on investment for these solutions as well. So making sure you're engaged across the whole part of that is important, and working with a provider who's going to deliver. I think that's the kind of key parts on that. Obviously, price is a consideration, but more and more we're now seeing that price is obviously important, but more it's about what features and what benefits it's going to give me. We see that businesses are willing to invest and want to invest in solutions that it's going to enable them to communicate better internally and communicate better externally. Customer service is such a key part of what people can do, businesses can do now to differentiate. It should be something they should really be looking at from a technology point of view, and to drive productivity and to drive better efficiency and better communication with their customers as well. So I think there's a lot of areas that you should be looking at as a small business and going, well, what can we do to really drive benefit from technology? It's no longer just a need to have this because we've got to have a telephone system or we've got to have a communication solution. This is going to really benefit our business. How can we get this to benefit our business? Speak to the provider, get case studies of where other people have successfully done this, and really understand what's going to be best here.
Fantastic. Well, I think that is a great place to end today's discussion. Joe, Dom, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Dave.
Cheers, David. Thanks, Dom.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. If you liked today's conversation, please give us a like and a share on social media. That's it from me. See you next time.